Tony from CassetteComeback.com. So in today's video I'm going to sort of touch on something which I touched on this video. Bing! But a bit more in depth, because buying random lots of tapes, you get some stuff that you don't really want, don't really need, but they turn up anyway. And I've got enough of them now. I think maybe it's worth looking at a video for them, because let's be honest, I'm running out of things to do videos on. There's only so many things you can do with a dead format. So what am I looking at today? Well, I'm looking at these computer cassettes. This one from Maxell. We've got this one from Maxell. We've got this one from TDK. And we've got this one from Altai. So what's this all about? Well, you see, I don't think you guys in America really appreciate this now, but until the 16-bit consoles really came in force, we mainly, on the computers we had in the UK, which was usually, you know, the Sinclair Spectrum, the Commodore 64, and obviously the VIC before it, the VIC-20, and then we had the Amstrad CPC, and then we got some of the Atari stuff like the Atari 800, the Atari 600, but most, at least when I was young, of us had either a Spectrum, a Commodore, and an Amstrad, and most of our software was on cassette. We had data codes, and I mean, you know, for example, this is the Commodore 64 data set, yeah, and this is a dedicated tape recorder. You know, there's no headphone sockets line in, line out. It had a dedicated interface which could remote control it, stop, start it, and the Commodore 64 data set was actually pretty clever. It had quite a high baud rate on it, i.e. how much data it would go down. And they were always, you can see that little hole there, that's for the azimuth alignment, because they had to be perfectly aligned, otherwise, you know, you wouldn't get the actual data going into the machine. And they were pretty fast, because you got to think 64K was usually the amount that a piece of software took up. And a lot of computers like 16K, the Spectrum was like 48 or 16K. So it had to be, you know, pretty good quality recording and a good recorder for it to get that much data in the same amount of time. And I mean, a lot of them also had built-in data sets, which the one I'll show you later did as well. Or otherwise, you know, we used a shoebox recorder. I mean, not this one, because this is quite a late shoebox recorder and I can't fit it all in. But, you know, that's why on them you had on the side, I don't know if you can make this out, we have the ear and the mic, but on a lot of them as well, especially if you're using it with something like a Toshiba MSX, you'd have another socket which was REM for remote, which meant it could pause the tape drive if, say, the computer was doing some decompression while it was loading. So naturally, if you're loading stuff off tape and you want to save your own programs, yes, save your own programs, not pirate other programs. The idea was that, you know, you could have dedicated computer cassettes for it, and a lot of this I think is like marketing BS. You know, you see this, you know, the personal computer cassette tape, and you look at the back, this fine magnetic particle is ideally suited for personal computer applications. A short leader tape is employed to give immediate recording and playback, and stable tape running is achieved by the employment of very reliable high precision mechanism. I like this. Look at this. This price sticker actually has a magnetic strip on it. It feels different, and the way it's written, I remember these. Come on, UK people, what shop would have had price stickers like this in the mid-80s? No, it's not Boots. This is Debenhams, as far as I remember. This is Debenhams. It's kind of handy, because if you think about it, 59p, and this is a 15-minute tape, 7.5 minutes each side. You could get Ds for around that price. You know, you could get D90, but this is, you know, 7.5 minutes on a PC-15, and this one is not a PC-15, it's a CP-15. Personal computer cassette. Maybe it's because TDK had PC first, and let's see what Maxell have to say about it. Oh, look at this. This is actually American. Maxell Corporation of America. So you guys did use some in America, but you were lucky. You mostly had disk drives for your C64s and your PCs and your Apples. So this cassette has been developed exclusively for personal computer usage. And that's the thing. These are a little conceit, because when you actually bought a pre-recorded cassette with a program on it, you know, from a shop, they didn't use any special cassettes. It's just regular tape. You're recording square waves on it, and that's about it. I mean, these were everywhere. I used these, you know, Altai. These, as far as I can tell, are Type 0, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll open this one up in a second, but the quality of the cassette for use with computer programs is not the same as with audio, because it's literally loud square waves, and it's either an on or an off. I can't go into deep tech detail, but you could get away with using Type 0s to store computer data on, whereas they're not susceptible for music. However, this one is a bit different. Now, people sometimes ask about these, because this is a very nice looking cassette. You look at this, like, wow, it's got gold there, gold black. Yeah, this looks nice. Let's open this one up, shall we? Oops. See, no fancy wrap on this, because it doesn't need to be. This is not, I would say, a regular cassette. Like I say, high density data, back coated, so it's back coated, high density data, this side in. But the thing to look at here is this notch in the top, and the fact that you have a slidable erase tab, but you've only got it on one side. There's nothing on the other side. And if we look, it shows you that's a write protect tab, write enabled and protected. This is the back side, unusable. So I did a bit of research, and let's see what I found out about these. So here is a Teac streaming cassette, and like the Maxell, you've got the write protect tab there and the open tab there and the little notch in the middle. Quite an attractive cassette. I mean, you know, if that was available as a blank, it's like, yeah, that's a nice attractive cassette. But Teac's important when it comes to this, because if we look at this excerpt from PC Magazine from April 1992, it says that only Teac Corp and YE Data manufacture the necessary drive. That's a typo by them. It's not me getting tongue-tied. So Teac is saying with this MT2ST-F50 drive that it could back up 600 megabytes of data. However, the drive is around $2,000 back in 1992, and the media costs are $40 a tape. So if you think about it, you know, $40 for this streamer tape, is that being charged that because it's a streamer tape and you've no choice, or is it because they are really super high quality? Because $40, to be fair, in 1992, when you think most of us have PCs with like 200 meg hard drives in, to be able to back up 600 meg for $40 is not a bad price. But they were saying that, you know, they could have 2.5 gig for 1993 or 10 gig for 1995. But I don't think that ever actually appeared, because this Maxell, the CS600XD, sort of signifies this is a 600 meg cart. And like I said, this page, Obsolete Museum of Obsolete Media, there's a Maxell tape. It looks like Maxell were doing them. Yeah, obviously, because I've got them. But this is an SX. It's different from the XD I've got. It seems to be very one-sided on that. But, yeah, 600 meg. It's a lot of money, that. But this is what they were for. However, if I go to DCAS on Wikipedia, it says streamer cassettes can only be used in an audio cassette deck, but the formulation of tape they contain is optimized only for full saturation square wave digital data, resulting in audio recordings made of them having very poor quality and a large amount of noise and distortion. Oh, Verbatim made them as well. I mean, Verbatim are well known for making data backup tapes, etc. So we've got a $40 tape that is rubbish at music, but it's only good at data. So it sort of says to me, well, how was these so expensive back in the day? I guess they were so expensive back in the day because you could use them or you could not, and $40 was cheap. But I wonder what sort of formulation they are. But if you're interested in what the actual drive looks like, there's one here actually for sale, one of these Teac drives on eBay, and it's new old stock. As you can see, this one's still in the plastic. It looks like it's fairly well made. Gears, metal bits. I don't know if there's any belts probably in there that's all been wound down. It seems to have the SCSI interface with the old Molex power supply. You know, it looks like it's a double height item that, yeah, I mean, I'm not interested enough to spend £50 or $65 and then $23 shipping it in, and then probably paying about another $25 in custom fees, and then I'd have to find an old PC with DOS that has a SCSI card in it, and then find out what software I need to actually be able to back up stuff on it. You know, when for £4 you can get a 16 gig USB key delivered to your door from Amazon that you can plug in and back 16 gig up as opposed to 600 meg. But if you feel so inclined, you can still get these drives. And, you know, they're you know, if someone gave me one, I'd have a crack at it, but I'm not that interested enough to actually buy one. And indeed, these Maxell cassettes are still quite readily available. You know, this guy wants £6. 600 meg digital DAT tape. No, not a DAT tape. This is what happens when people who have no knowledge about what they're selling just see gold and put it up there anyway because they're greedy. I mean, this guy's got 8. He wants £16 plus shipping, so £20, just over £2 each. But the bottom line is, who's using these streamers? Nobody. Why would you, unless you've got some really old legacy stuff in a manufacturing company that's running old computers or old robots that they never upgraded. Who knows? But the reality is these cassettes are really just for collecting. They have no practical use, and they're certainly, you know, not worth £16 for 8 of them. I mean, you know, £38 for 10. Who needs 10 of these? Seriously, unless, you know, you're Russian and you're buying them to sell on eBay as nice for collector tapes. But, yeah, so that's a decast format, and that's why this tape's a bit different. But let's see if we can't still find a practical use for it anyway. I'm going to try and record some music on it, try and bias it. Let's see if it can be done, and if it can, how bad it does sound. Or let's see if we can actually find a semi-practical use for it. So, these were for a dedicated streamer. These are not compact cassettes. There's no compact cassette logo on it, even though that's what it's based on. And it makes sense. There's already mechanisms for transporting the tape out there. Why not base something on this and create the wheel from scratch? But we're going to have a play with this. Let's have a see if we can figure out what sort of tape this is or anything. I mean, if you just look at it now, if you look, see there, it's got no spring pad. So, you know, you put this in a regular cassette deck, it's not going to really do anything. So, yeah. So I was going to plan on recording something on this and trying it, but even if I use my discrete head NAC with the paddle lifter, I'm not going to be able to play it back on anything else. But let's just have a look at the actual tape itself. See, it's got a decent sized leader on it. It's quite a long leader, that. The tape itself, I mean, yeah, it looks like a Type 2. No particular smell to it, but it just looks like a Type 2. But like I say, no spring pads, so you can't really play it back on anything else. So this really is just a curiosity. I will try and record some music onto this, and we'll see if it is completely unbiasable and usable, but we shall see. But yeah, that's more an interesting curio than anything else. So what about these other ones? Well, like I said, this one, I don't really want to open this up because it's the only one I've got. It's nice looking, it's very 80s, personal computer cassette, it's got the Debenham sticker on it. I'm not opening that one up. This Maxell one, yeah, come on, let's have a look. Let me just cut the end off and let's see if we can save as much of this wrapper as I can. Probably not, but I just don't feel like tearing this one to bits today. Apart from the fact I have the world's bluntest knife here, which didn't cut anything, so we'll do it the old-fashioned way. So what have we got here? Well, I mean, it's a Maxell cassette. Look at that; it's got no leader on it. It's completely leaderless. straight into the Type 1 tape there, which is what it is. Program counter. I mean, I bought these because they were handy. Because the ones I mostly bought were these, and you could get them in 10 minutes, because most computer programs are not over 5 minutes in length. So, you know, you'd have a D90, and if you were making a compilation for someone, that's fine, but then they'd have to go through all the hassle of having to fast forward to the next track to try and find where the next track started, to know that that's the next game or program. And unless you had a deck which had like an auto skip and you'd left enough space in between the tracks, it was a pain in the arse. So you just bought these short cassettes and you put one program on one side, maybe one or two. You know, it's time for two programs here, two on the other side, and that's it. You had four and it was nice and easy to find. That's why you did these. But special formulation, it said, for computers, didn't it? Yeah, developed exclusively for personal computer use. So let's see if that can't do any sounds. Like I say, these Altais were interesting because I used to buy these. I used to get them in, they used to come like in a plastic box with 5 in, and you could just take them in and out rather than individually wrapped. And it said, this premium cassette is compatible with all computer tape systems. They're damn right, because at the end of the day, they're just regular tapes. Now let's just have a look. Is this one leaderless? Or is this just really loose? Yeah, that's virtually leaderless. That's a very... You see, I remember these being cheap and thinking it was Type 0, but that tape there looks cobalt doped. It doesn't smell of chrome, but it doesn't look like a basic ferric. It looks very dark ferric, unless, of course, Altai were known for making crap electrical stuff. Altai, you know, you bought these things on market stalls more than anything. Not a bad looking tape. I mean, I've got to say, it's retro cool. But could this be re-slit videotape? You know, it might be. But you just never know on that one. I mean, they didn't even give you a proper J card with this. The J card's just like this little... But then I guess that's all you needed, didn't it? You just wrote on what it was on each side twice for some reason. That's all you needed. But I am very nostalgic for these Altais because they always used to work for me. I bought quite a lot of these, and yeah, computape, yeah. So we'll see if that does anything sound-wise. And I'll also give you a little guide. I mean, some of you might not have seen this before. Some of you might be wondering how easy it is to do, about how to actually get a tap image that you found on the internet. Oh, that's cut out pretty nice, isn't it? It's just, yeah. Anyway, a tap image that you've got on the internet, how you can actually get that back onto a tape and load it inside of your old computer. So let's have a fiddle. So how do you get a TZX file which you found on the internet, or a tap file, back onto a cassette? There are various ways, there's little plays and stuff, but this is my favourite way of doing it because it gives you the full nostalgia experience while you're doing it. So I'm using this emulator. It's called Clive, and it's called Clive because the creator of the computer which I'm going to be using is a British classic called the Sinclair Spectrum, and the guy that created it was called Clive Sinclair, even though this is spelled with a K and his real name began with a C. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a tape file, and in this case one of my favourite Spectrum games. It's tiny but it's brilliant. Horace Goes Skiing. So this is now attached. What will happen next is that the emulator is going to play the tape file through, but it's also going to output the sounds. And this is good because you've got to think, originally these emulated games came because people did put the original cassettes into the cassette players, plug it into their PCs, record them as sound waves, and then use a conversion tool to turn them into a tap or a TZX. But you've got to think these original files could have wow and flutter, they could have speed issues, and it's like making another generational copy, and you want to make it as clean as possible. So because the emulator will read this in, process it, and then output it again, it will output a clean square wave, which is what we want. So I'm going to load this game up now. I'm going to start Audacity recording. And let's load up Horace Goes Skiing. As we can see, we've got nice clean square waves coming over here, which is what we want. And it's mono. You don't want to record in stereo because all the decks and everything was just mono, and in stereo can confuse it because they always have mono heads in the actual cassette decks. Now you see, if you're really sad like me, you know at this point that these tones signify that a picture is being loaded, and in some games you can see the picture being built up line by line as it goes along. In this case it isn't doing, but it will colour it in, and you know it's going to colour it in because you can tell by the sound of the tones what it's going to be. It's going to go na 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 soon. Just listen. There we go. And that's the sadness you get from sitting in front of computers as a child waiting for them to load. You get to know what the tones are signifying. But anyhow, what I'm going to do is wait for this to finish. Then I'm going to save this WAV file, put it onto my Android tablet, and then we're going to play it back and record it onto cassette. Right, well, I'm going to use my old friend, the Aiwa ADS 950. I love this deck, and I haven't used it in a while. You know, you get Nakamichis and Revoxes, you sort of go, oh, I want to watch play with them, and but you never forget your old friends. This is still a really capable deck. So that's what I'm going to use today to do some taping on these computer tapes. Now, the first thing is, I tried to figure out if this is a special formulation. It's very light brown. I thought, well, the time period, maybe it's the UR tape. But if you look at them, the very different tapes, the UR is a lot darker than this. So let's see first with this Maxell if we can bias it up. There's no leader on it, so we should be able to go straight in. Let's have a look. I see very low bias, very low levels compared to the UX. So let's see if we can decrease the bias to get it there. Let's have a look. Turn up the levels. And there we go. We're a little bit less negative bias, but it's about there. So I'm not going to record this super hot. There's a track here called Bright and Lights I've used before. Let's just have a see if this can actually handle music or if it is purely for data. Okay, so it could be biased, it could record. It sounded very bassy. Maybe it was distorting. Put it this way, if that was, you know, given to me as a music ferret cassette, I wouldn't say it was Type 0, but I wouldn't be like singing its praises. It didn't sound amazing. But let's now go over to the Altai CompuTape, and this is the one which is very dark. Let's see how this one biases up. Squeaky, but it needs less negative bias, so it needs more bias added. Oh, there we go. Let's get them, let's reduce the levels down. Can you hear that? It's very squeaky. The actual cassette itself, it doesn't look like it's got an amazing shell, but there we go, it's about there. So let's listen to some more of Bright and Lights and see how this handles music. Okay, that's very distorted. just full of dropouts, that. Yeah, that's we can stop that there. That is truly performing like a Type 0. But again, is that a problem for this type of tape and what it was designed for? Now, I spoke about this one earlier. Let's see if we can calibrate this, and let's see if this can record anything musical, or if indeed it is just completely so out of sync, so out of sort, forget about it. Let's have a look. Let's stop that. Okay, let's try again. Let's see how this calibrates. Oh dear, let's reset everything to 0. Okay, so we've got no level and mega. So if I take the level to there and add a lot of bias to it, in fact we'll add maximum bias to it and crank the level up. No, with maximum bias and maximum level, that's as far as it's going to go. Turn the bias down a bit, yeah, it's still nowhere near on level. The biasing's there, the level's nowhere near. But just for the fun of it, let's try and record something and see if it can actually do any recording of audio, or if it really is just utterly useless unless you're using a tape streamer. Yeah, and I think pretty conclusively there we proved that this really is not designed in any way, shape or form for regular audio use. Maybe it could record well and stuff. I mean, you got to think it hasn't got the spring pad in there, and this isn't a discrete head NAC. I don't know if putting it into a discrete head NAC like a Dragon and trying to calibrate it is really going to be worth it, because the left side seemed down anyway. But yeah, these are collector's pieces if you want them. Don't try and use these for anything else. But to be honest, it's quite a cool shell, even though on the back you can't see the tape bit. No, I'm not even bothered about transplanting some tape into it. I'm just going to leave that one as it is. So let us now go back to the Type 0 Altai computer tape and see if we can get horoscope skiing on this. Now, I want to show you something before we start. There are emulators, not Samsung S Voice, go away, like this Unreal Spectrum emulator, which I've got on my tablet here, where I could load it direct from here. But here's a strange thing, right? The output of this is too quiet. It's not loud enough to record. So I thought, well, I'll get myself one of these little headphone amplifiers, put it through that, and then I can record it straight from here, straight up there, nice and easy. Select the game, record it straight on, job's a good one. No. And I even put this through another amplifier. For some reason, the square waves, when they're coming out, I don't know the technical reason for it, but they're really quiet. Maybe they're being, in the software, the authors automatically put the noise down because you don't want loud square waves blasting through your ears. But they just don't work, which is a shame, because it'd be great to just be able to load it straight from this, straight into the tape. That'd be nice and easy without having to go through Audacity and record it as a WAV, but it doesn't work. And incidentally, on that note, well, I just go back into, where is horoscope skiing? It's in here, there we go. Let's just pause this. I can't do it through my external USB DAC. It's just too quiet. So I'm going to disconnect my USB DAC, and I'm going to go through the good old headphone amplifier in the tablet. That's the only way I've managed to be able to actually get it to do it. So first things first, I'll take this out, even though we're going to record on that. I'm going to take an original game. And the reason I'm going to take the original game, so there's going to be some tones coming, but I'll mute it down, is simpler to see. see what level these are actually recorded at. This peaked at +2, that's the level it needs to be at. So that's where I'm going to record Horoscope skiing on. So let me just put this Altai computer back in again and bias it up. Okay, let's just take them all back to 0. So negative to there, and then crank the level. Okay, and we're about right. I mean, like I say, this is a Type 0 tape, but there we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play Horoscope skiing from this WAV file now, and I'm going to record it onto the cassette. I'm not going to subject you to all of it, but let's just play this and make sure that everything's coming through right. Right, source. Okay, too quiet. Let's turn up the amp on this. Okay, that was peaking at +2, so let's get this cassette recorded. Okay. Right, this is going to be tricky, but this is the real version of what we saw emulated later in Clive. If you're not from the UK or you don't remember this, this is the Sinclair Zx Spectrum. This is a +2 version, and even though it was branded Sinclair and it's fully compatible, it was actually, you can see there, Amstrad bought all the rights to Sinclair when they were in trouble, basically because of a failed computer called the QL, which basically bankrupted him along with the C5 electric car. Amstrad bought it and they released this, and it's got a built-in data cassette recorder. Now, this I've changed the belts on, lubed it up a bit. I can't do the speed adjust since I've done the belt because the way it was cheaply made, and these were made cheaply, is that the actual motor has got the adjustment hole, but it's facing up. There's no way to get to it from actually on the outside. So it's about 5% fast. But this is the point. It's got wow and flutter issues as well, this. Because this machine, you know, it's 1986. This machine is now knocking on for 34 years old. It's had a generic belt put on it. It's got wow and flutter. And the speed isn't right. I'm going to take this Altai, which we've said was basically a Type 0 tape. And let's see if we can load Horoscope skiing. And that tape's squeaky. Can you hear it squeaking away? That's not the deck, that's the tape. There we go, it's loading. I'm not going to induce to all of this, or am I? Would you want me to let it load all the way through, then you can see me playing Horoscope skiing afterwards? What do you reckon? I'm not a retro game channel. I stick to what I know, you know what I mean? You know, I'd like to... I just got one of these and it's awesome. The C64, you know, the C64 Maxi Remade 64. Brilliant piece of kit. I can't fit my camera, but... I know my boundaries. I'm going to stick to what I know, the cassettes, even though I'm a massive retro gamer myself. There's already loads of retro gaming channels. What else can I add? So it's loading up. Like I say, you can hear in the initial burst the wow and flutter. You hear the this tape deck isn't in full health. But I guess this is kind of the point. We have, in that Altai cassette, a Type 0 tape. We've already said it's a Type 0. A Type 0 tape in a cassette deck which has got wow and flutter issues, that's running at the wrong speed, and the game is working. And this is the point. These data cassettes, the only real great thing about them was their length, that they were short enough to put a program on and you didn't feel like you were wasting a 60 or a 90. but when it comes to actually loading data, especially on the Spectrum, the baud rate's so small, it can tolerate Type 0 type cassettes and a badly functioning tape deck. It's as simple as that. And there we go, Horace goes skiing. Let's just have a quick do. What the heck? If you've never seen it before. First stage is a rip-off of Frogger, and the next stage is like a little, actually pretty decent for its age. You're going to think 1982. Right, let's see if I can get across the road without dying. Way, got my skis. Let's see if I can make it back without dying. Yay, there we go, let's go skiing. You bored yet? Yeah, let's leave Horace as it is. But there we go. Like I say, so much fun crammed into 16K that game. 16K. Your desktop shortcut icons are miles bigger than 16K, and it's a desktop icon. We've just got sloppy when it comes to computers now. Ah well. Still managed to finish, even though I wasn't playing. Amazeballs. So there we go. I hope that was sort of interesting, especially to those of you who've never had like cassette based computers before, but you know the pain we used to go through. But the bottom line is personal computer cassettes, computer tapes, personal computer tape. You know, I'm going back here. This cassette has been developed exclusively for personal computer usage. Yeah, because you've exclusively developed a tape that is so poor you can't really use it for music use. But because the nature of computer data, it's just sine waves, at least in the 8-bit era, it was just sine waves that could be recorded badly. Mostly, you know, you recorded these on your shoebox recorders in mono, and then played back on decks that again were mono and badly maintained, but it still managed to work. Because of the nature of the data, you could get away with having specially developed, really cheap tapes. But again, back to this one, 59 pence, you could have got a decent C90 for that price. I mean, don't begrudge me not opening this one, because like I say, with the Debenham sticker and the only one I have, this is just gonna, I mean, you can see there the tape's very brown. This isn't even going to be D quality, you know. But again, this superfine particle is ideally suited for computer applications. I wish I could speak, you know what I mean? But the bottom line is, it's all hyperbole. These tapes have the cheapest tape you could want in them, but they still work because of the nature that computer data is very, very, very less demanding than music. And so they do exactly what they said on the tin. And the main reason for having them, at least for me, was the convenience, the short length. You could just put 2 programs on each side, nice and easy to find, and that's it. And the streamer tape, great to look at, absolutely no use whatsoever for anything other than the application it was designed for. So thanks for watching, hope that was interesting, and as always, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Happy taping. Bye bye. Well, happy taping unless you're trying on that.